Follow the money.
That's what I always say. You always follow the money.
Yeah.
This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Paulie Howard on VSiN.
Here we go. Welcome in. It is Follow the Money on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Mitch Moss, Paulie Howard with you for the next 3 hours live in downtown Las Vegas from the Circa Resort and Casino. A lot of reaction to the games that we had over the weekend. Monday Night Football preview several times. Divisional round numbers that we like. Great guest today, as always. Nick Whalen coming up in 30 minutes. Mike DeFabo, who covers the Steelers in Pittsburgh for The Athletic, he's going to be on the show. And Warren Sharp a little bit later on. We have Do You Concur? And, man, I would say this, right? The regular season, is, as we talked about a lot down the stretch on this program, maybe like in the conversation for the best, most dramatic, entertaining that we've had that we can remember. And that did not disappoint, and that continued to be a thing on Saturday and Sunday for the first 4 games anyway. And I think a couple of stats point to that. Bill Adie had this today in the VSiN Daily, OptaStats, with a tweet last night. First time in NFL history, there were 4 games decided by 4 points or fewer in a single postseason round. And watching that Niners game yesterday against the Eagles, as that was completely unfolding, and you're like, how the hell is this going to play out? Philadelphia had the ball trailing at the 2-minute warning. Teams with the lead at the 2-minute warning started 0-3 in the playoffs, and the Niners had to cling to life to win that game.
And get the stop. Yep. And all the lead changes. We had tied a record in a couple games for the lead changes in the fourth quarter. It was incredible. I don't think you can top that.
No, I don't think so either.
It was stunning what happened. And then still it was a mess. And it was a beautiful mess Sunday night with the Charger game, where you're thinking 9-3, 9-6 might win this game. We might not have a touchdown. So to start with the Rams game, and then Saturday night the Bears do it again, the Cardiac Kids, and set the record, 7 wins when trailing in the final 2 minutes, 14-1 in play. And then it just carried over to the Bills game and the 49er game. Unbelievable. I can't. It was just, for that to get an A+ after all those games, what a weekend.
Did you see this on that Bears note? NFL teams all time to score 25-plus points in the fourth quarter / overtime of a playoff game to overcome a 15-plus point deficit. The Patriots against the Falcons in the Super Bowl, and the Bears on Saturday night.
There you go.
That's it. That's your list. Yep. Greg Harvey, excellent observation there.
Yep. LaFleur does it again, and the Packers do it again. An all-time melt.
And they want to bring him back.
Yep. 21-3 at halftime, getting the ball. Full breakdown later in the show. You can't bring them back. You can't. But common sense says, no, you can't do it. But that is just a horrible way to end a season, a 5-game losing streak, and you spit that up. And you go from going right down the field 3 times, 21-3. You had 29 yards in the next 4 drives coming out of halftime.
I know.
Come on.
That's unacceptable, and they did it again.
That's right.
And I'll ask you another one. Are we sure Nick Sirianni's a good football coach?
Will they bring him back? That's another one.
I don't know about that. Yeah.
That's a tough call for Lurie. I mean, the fact that Warren Sharp made some good points yesterday, that he was stubborn. He had his buddy calling plays. They were broken early on. They never fixed it. It never improved. The fighting. And still you wouldn't make a change at OC. And that's how you went out. And he was stubborn, and it cost him. And it cost him a season.
They fizzled out pretty much. But that's, I mean, the writing was on the wall, right?
Did you watch a halftime show?
No, I did not.
I thought they actually made a good point that backfired. If you're the head coach, you cannot come at your volatile star player like that with A.J. Brown. And he came back and yelled at him. And then guess what? Right. He went 2 quarters without a target. And then he dropped the big one over the middle.
Huge.
So I know Sirianni's like, you can't cry and complain, give me the ball. And then we throw it to you and you drop it.
And the reason why I want to ask that today, and it's been kicked around before, obviously, but there is a chance here that Philadelphia's success has been their most success, by the way. 2 Super Bowl runs in the last, 4 years now, was when that guy had really good coordinators. Steichen calling plays offensively. Yes. Jonathan Gannon was the DC. Last year with Kellen Moore, Vic Fangio, you saw the drop-off at OC this year and how many problems they continued to have from week 1 all the way till the game was over with last night. And he probably has the best GM in football.
Yep.
Right? They put together, and they've had that roster at the very top of the league in terms of most overall talent at like every single position for 4 years now, or one of the best teams overall when it comes to roster construction. So I don't know if the guy's a good coach or not. Like, if he took over the Raiders next year, would he turn them into a playoff team within 4 years? I don't know.
That's too bad. They wasted a great defense.
Oh, they did.
It was a wasted season.
And look at the talent on offense.
I know. They should still be playing. You can't lose that game. Kittle goes out. The defense did let you down. Blankenship was terrible. The trick play should not work. And Robinson can't get behind you. And Jennings can't get behind you. And Purdy turned it over twice, and you still lost the game.
I know. Well, credit Kyle Shanahan, man. The job that he has done this year, and then they lose Kittle on top of everything else. My God.
How about that story? Jed York comes down, the owner. Can I get you anything? What can I do for you? Bottle of tequila, please.
Yeah.
Sends it down. Gone.
He
drank the whole thing.
Yeah.
Drank Patron. Take that sucker down. And he still wins the game. So it's the same stuff, though. The offense was pathetic. Hurts couldn't make any big plays.
Yeah.
I only saw one design run. You get Barkley going. You had Smith and Brown with the drops. And then Elliott missed an extra point, which was big. And the defense, which had been so good, also let him down with a couple
huge plays right out of the
moments.
gates by San Francisco.
Yeah, you can't give that up to start the game.
No.
And you can't give up. You can't just stop running and give up on McCaffrey on the trick play.
True.
But this is the story.
That was bad.
Yeah, this is the story of the season. Jennings completed more passes longer than 15 yards yesterday than Hurts did. That's the story of the season.
And he also has as many touchdown passes in his career in the playoffs as Justin Herbert.
Oh, boy.
There's did you see the tweets, by the way, on this Philadelphia game from Dan Orlovsky, ESPN?
This is good. This is a big indictment of Sirianni. Yes, this is excellent.
So Philadelphia ran 10 plays on their final offensive series. 4 of those 10 were repeat plays from the same drive.
Yeah.
So they were making it as easy as possible for the 49ers.
Right. And we can all agree. You cannot call a timeout in that situation.
That's he
terrible.
Doing?
The game then comes down to one play, and if you miss, it's over. Still, if they get a stop, you still have a chance because you have all three. That better be the best play you can design, and you've been sitting on that for months, and it was crap. You can't call a timeout there.
You know what kind of play that was? To your point, that was the play at 2 a.m. when you've had 14 drinks and you're looking across the bar and you see, oh, boy, she's pretty hot. And then the next day you wake up, you're like, oh, boy, that was the alcohol talking.
Yep.
That was the play. That was not a good play.
Yeah. I wouldn't even be opposed to kicking the field goal there and then trying onside or trying to get another stop with 3 timeouts because it's just to be 4th and 11, their chances to pick it up were slim and none. And he calls a timeout on top of it, and then that ended the game.
Yep. This is from email is always open, fteam@vsin.com. Mike, on the Eagles, they don't have an NFL head coach or quarterback one. I mean, Hurts was the Super Bowl MVP last year. He was also amazing in the Super Bowl 3 years ago against the Chiefs. And also, this is from Jeff as an Eagles fan. His theory, same thing. Best 2 years came with the coordinators that were really, really good, as we just ran down. So he and I are on the same page with that.
Well, for him not to make a change was unacceptable.
Mm-hmm.
They were just a mess all year on offense.
Paul, it was the same story every single week. It's like, how many times do we have to watch this movie?
Yeah.
Give me the times that they looked really good. Second half against the Rams. I would say the Vikings game, they were really good.
Yeah.
Is that the list?
Yeah. He also does a lot of stupid stuff, like going for it at midfield in a tight game, opting to kick long field goals, all the other business. But when we talk about these games every week and moving forward, there needs to be a 3-minute discussion on a coach who could lose his mind. And you rank them. And we kick it around about could this coach lose his mind. All the good what Liam Cohn did, out the window. How he lost his mind yesterday. The Bills are 28th against the run. They're 31st in EPA per play against design runs. Your guy rootin' tootin' on the first touchdown drive. 20-yard gain. Next play. 14-yard gain. Next play. 13-yard gain. 1 carry the rest of the game.
Mm-hmm.
Tootin and Etienne had 14 for 118. Yet he's slinging it around with an erratic Trevor Lawrence. Time and time again. You can gash Buffalo all day with the rush game, and then they did it and went right down the field, and he didn't do it again.
Yeah, and the strength to Buffalo's defense clearly is the passing side of it, where it's very difficult to pass on them, and you can run all day long. And that was unfolding like that. But also, think about this. I mean, Little hooks the 54-yarder.
Big.
That looked like that was going to be good.
Yep.
And my God, the 12-minute review, I think, that we had for the Trevor Lawrence scramble, was it a first down or not? Originally called the first down, and they have to go to the replay assist. Where was it at overall? And they found that he was a little bit short. If he doesn't stumble like that, or the knee, I guess, is a little bit short when It's a completely different ballgame.
Yeah, I know, but we talked about yesterday, are we going to get the old Trevor Lawrence? And we did.
We did a little bit.
With the 2 interceptions. Yep.
Yeah, that was not great. The one tip, though, at the very end wasn't his fault. But.
Yeah, but that's the interception early on. He was high on a lot of throws. He was off, and you coming out and you're going to throw on him. When the game plan should be run at will.
And there's also this, by the way, from the game. You knew, or you thought going in, the Bills were going to have a tough time running the football, and they did.
Yes.
Allen didn't do much on the ground. 2 touchdowns, I get that, but yardage, I wasn't really there. Cook, 46 yards. He led the league at 46 yards on 15 carries. And I'm taking absolutely nothing away from Josh Allen. He had guys running wide open the entire game. Wide open. So either that's great scheme by the Bills or a terrible job with their assignments on the Jacksonville side. And also, you can't score a touchdown there with a minute left. You got to take more time off the clock. That was going to come back and bite McDermott in the ass yet again. You got to do something there. You're not going to stop. You're not stopping Josh Allen in the tush push 3 times in a row.
Yep.
That's not happening.
Yeah. Where's all the anti-tush push people there? You can't, as an offensive lineman, pick the guy up and carry him 10 yards. Mm-hmm. That's absurd.
Oh, I know it is.
The Eagles don't do that.
But also, Jacksonville gave up on the play, I thought.
Yeah.
Maybe they were letting him try to score on that play. Here you go. Here's what it looks like.
Look at this. Play's over. Blow the whistle. Then they keep going. The offensive lineman's got him in a bear hug, and he pulls him down to the 1-yard line.
Yep.
And so the Bills voted against the tush push. It saved their season.
Sure it did. The reason why they're moving on. I actually have a feeling that was the AFC title game.
This Buffalo nonsense can't continue.
Oh, it will. It's going to this weekend.
Denver beats them.
We will move into Monday Night Football and the divisional round. And Angle is now 12-3 ATS over the past decade, and it applies tonight. Find out the details next on Follow the Money. It's VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
So you're listening to this podcast because you want an edge. But what if I told you you're only halfway there? You've got the mindset. Now it's time to get the toolkit to match. Here's the thing. Pro bettors spend thousands on data and tools, but what they don't want you to know is you can get the same edge for a fraction of the cost with VSiN Pro. With VSiN Pro, you get access to expert picks, public betting data, prop projections, powerful tools, analytics, and more. Tap the link in the description and see why thousands of bettors are already using VSiN Pro to cash more bets.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
You have some breaking news in the NFL. Bills wide receiver Gabe Davis had the MRI today, torn ACL. Brutal news.
Tough. Are you surprised they're favored?
No, but I
You're
mean,
not?
with the injury, Radley's off. Go ahead.
No Ty Johnson, no Gabe Davis, no Palmer. Shavers got hurt. Poyer hurt. And Allen's playing with 5 injuries, too.
I bet him pick him as soon as it came out yesterday.
Yeah.
Yep. But I might tease Denver immediately up to like 7.5 as long as that number's available right now.
First time since 1971 we have 2 road favorites in the divisional round?
I'm sure that'll go well. Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. We head out to the Progressive guest line now. Nick Whalen joins the program as he does every Monday, and he is with RotoWire. Nick, good afternoon. Let's begin with the game tonight as the Steelers are catching 3 points at home against the Houston Texans. Total high 30s. That's pretty much it in the game. Circa's at 38. What do you like between these two squads?
Yeah, I've leaned on the under more so than anything, and we're getting into uncomfortable territory there, guys, at 38.5. But my concerns extend beyond the Steelers' offense. You know, I think that's one of the kind of low-hanging fruit talking points about this game is even with DK Metcalf back, how does Pittsburgh possibly move the ball on this Houston defense? I think they'll get creative. They'll find ways to have some level of success, but I don't trust that team in the red zone, and certainly they're going to have to find ways for both Jaylen Warren and Kenneth Gainwell to get creative to move the ball consistently. So one prop that I like here is Jaylen Warren over 1.5 catches. Put that in yesterday. You know, we think of Gainwell as the primary receiving back for the Steelers, which is true. But Warren had 5 catches in the Baltimore game. I don't think the return of Metcalf really changes the approach all that much. You know, even when Metcalf has had some of his better games this season, it's been on relatively low volume. You know, they kind of pick their spots with him. They try to hit big plays. He's not a 10, 11, 12 target type of number one receiver by any means. So I think we do see both of those backs involved tonight. But I have concerns about the Houston offense as well, guys. I mean, during this 9-game winning streak heading into the playoffs, they're 19th in offensive EPA. It is very hard to win 9 games in a row as a below average offense.
Well said. Absolutely. I mentioned early before you came on, we need to kick around the likelihood that a coach loses his mind. And I thought Cohen lost his mind, and you're a Jags guy. How do you abandon the run against a team that's 28th against the run, and you saw Tootin go right down the field when they gave it to him 3 straight plays and had 1 carry the rest of the game?
It's a fair question. It's a fair question, man. I think I felt the same. I didn't love the decision to basically put this game in the hands of Trevor Lawrence, who admittedly did lead 2 touchdown drives to begin the fourth quarter. So yeah, I think you could argue offensively, that the Jaguars were able to get by, despite the early turnover, despite not cashing in on a golden opportunity when the Bills fumbled in the kickoff, after that first Jaguars touchdown. Like that to me is what really lost them the game, coming away with no points there, missing the field goal before the half. But it wasn't like Trevor Lawrence was lighting up this defense. That's the thing. During this 8-game winning streak for the Jags, that had been the case. They actually weren't running the ball all that effectively, even against bad defenses. It was Trevor Lawrence, kind of playing hero ball and getting away with it. I thought early on, you could tell, like this was first half of the season, Trevor Lawrence. He had the 1 interception in the first half, could have had 2 or 3 more, and probably could have had like 5 or 6 throughout the game. I mean, there were deflected passes all over the place, balls hitting the ground, just before a Bills defender swooped in. So I personally did not see enough from Lawrence that I would have been comfortable relying on him as much as they were. And then, of course, when they have a minute 5 on that final drive, the old Trevor Lawrence shows up again and immediately throws a bad interception into traffic. It's hard to explain. It's hard to explain because I think Liam Cohen certainly throughout his career has shown that he does want to lead on the run. He likes having multiple backs, and both Etienne and Tootin were running it well. I mean, that's where you could beat this Bills defense. And, certainly if they could do it over again, I do think Liam Cohen would lean on that approach, but it just felt to me like the Jaguars were playing like they were down 10 instead of down 3 or 4 in the second half.
Yeah, well said. So then let's move it forward then. We opened this segment talking about the Bills being a 1.5-point favorite now against the Broncos, and we rattled off the injuries as well. Any opinion on this game coming up over the weekend?
I will say I'm not surprised the Bills are favored because I just don't think Denver is getting a ton of respect. It's probably one of the worst 1 seeds that we've seen in a while. That Jacksonville game is still fresh in the mind. They were down multiple scores against Green Bay a couple of weeks before that. And even in week 18, when the Chargers are openly waving the white flag and playing all their backups, Denver still to some degree struggled in that game. So, we're carrying over the same Josh Allen versus the world narrative from the wild card round into the divisional. I think that still applies against Denver. But you guys mentioned it right before we hopped on. I mean, the injuries are piling up for this Bills team, and like it shouldn't matter that much that Tyrell Shavers and Gabe Davis are injured, but it does. Like that's the point that we're at right now for the Buffalo Bills. And Jacksonville, I thought, had a really poor game defensively. I think that secondary really missed Jordan Lewis. I don't know that you can necessarily depend on the same efficiency through the air from Josh Allen against that Denver defense. 28 of 35 for 273. I mean, you got the Josh Allen hero ball game. I think he can repeat that to some degree, but even Josh Allen himself picked up like 2 more minor injuries in the Jacksonville game. So I think Denver probably rightfully feels a little bit disrespected by that line.
Yeah, and I said this to open the show as well. Like, no disrespect to Josh Allen. Guy's probably the best player in the NFL. And he had a great game yesterday. But, man, every time he dropped back to pass, he had a guy open by 7-8 yards.
Oh, my God.
And that probably
the
won't
amount
be
of 3rd and 2, 3rd and 4, 3rd and 6. I mean, that was automatic for the Bills throughout that entire game. There were so many, all right, if the Jags can get a stop here type of plays, it felt like they could take control. And the third down defense was brutal. And it's not like Josh Allen was throwing into tight windows. Again, not to take anything away from him. He was fantastic yesterday. But the Jags coverage guys were just getting beat.
Yeah. Yep. Are we getting carried away with... Have we been getting carried away with the Rams' power rating? Almost lost to Carolina. Special teams, disaster. Can't stop. Here's the points they've allowed going back. 34 to Detroit, 38 to Seattle, 37 to Atlanta, 20 to Arizona, 31 to Carolina. Carolina 4 for 4 in the red zone.
I think maybe we are getting carried away. And if you had asked me, guys, coming into the weekend, who's your pick to come out of the NFC? It would still be the Rams. And it might still be the Rams because I do believe deep down this is the most well-rounded team in the NFL. And I think it does say something that even when they are making all those mistakes defensively and on special teams, that they could still come back and outscore you in a game where things aren't going their way. But this is twice now. You could argue that Bryce Young, who I am not a believer in whatsoever, has had his 2 best games of the season, 2 of the best games of his career against this defense. Like that is not a good sign. I was of the belief that the Rams would not have a letdown game here because of what happened during the regular season. And instead, this game played out to a very similar script. And they're lucky they didn't turn the ball over 3 times like they did in that regular season matchup. So if you're Chicago, considering how that game went, on Saturday night, the juxtaposition between the first half and the second half, I still don't think you feel great about playing the Rams, but that defense does not look like it's at the same level that it was a month ago. And you will have the benefit of, the weather, the location, I think being in your favor. Like Matthew Stafford has not had a ton of success in these frigid games throughout his career.
Yeah. And then how about the other game in the NFC? So the Niners played on the East Coast last night, got back to the Bay Area past midnight this morning. And now they get to play the game on Saturday against Seattle, a team that just took them apart. And now the Seahawks are up to 7.5. Total here is 45.5.
Yeah, I totally understand, why this is moving where it is. The Kittle injury is just so brutal, right? It's like that is the last thing that you need if you're the 49ers, to be able to survive that Eagles game, losing Kittle in game, and then have to go, into Seattle, a team that just wiped the floor with you in week 18. I know the score didn't look all that dramatic, but I thought Seattle dominated that game to a degree that the final score did not show. And you have to do it without Kittle. So it's hard for me to see San Francisco, pulling off 2 consecutive games like that, where you're going up against an elite defense and you have to get enough stops defensively. At 7.5, though, is still interesting to me because of the Sam Darnold factor. Like I group Sam Darnold still in a similar category to Lawrence, where, yeah, you feel a lot better about him than you did a year or two ago. The last 2 regular seasons have been really impressive. There's still a lot of nights where I'm like, man, I don't know if I trust Sam Darnold right now. I don't know if I trust him in this one specific drive, and there will be plenty of drives like that in this game. So I think that's still that's kind of the one thing holding me back from going all in on Seattle is I'm not quite ready to put all my faith in Sam Darnold. We've seen too many slow starts from the Seattle team, especially over the last couple of months. I think the big key will ultimately be, can they run it nearly as effectively on that defense as they did in week 18? Because we could talk about the injuries all we want for San Francisco, but the way the run defense specifically held up against Philly, I thought was really impressive.
Sure. There is this, by the way. Shanahan, 4-0 ATS, is a 3+ point dog in the playoffs. Nick, in about a minute here, do you have anything tonight that you like in the NBA?
Yeah, just a couple things in the NBA for me, guys. Taking a look at Tyrese Maxey, over 26.5 points going up against Toronto. It is a back-to-back. It's a rematch from last night. I do like this more if Joel Embiid is out again, but even if Embiid plays, Tyrese Maxey is still pretty clearly the number one option these days for the Sixers. He's cleared that number in 11 of his last 13 games, playing almost 40 minutes per game in that span. And then, we got to wait and see on Kawhi Leonard tonight. Clippers are taking on the Hornets. I did throw in James Harden over 25.5 points under the belief that this is like 3 or 4 games in a row now that Kawhi has been questionable. Maybe he takes a seat tonight. It becomes a Harden show. Okay. Very good, Nick. Pleasure talking to you as always. Best of luck tonight and this week. We appreciate it. Thank you, fellas. Nick Whalen, RotoWire. Follow him on X. He's at Whalen, but take out the letter L, put it with the numeral 1, WHA1EN on X, and he was on the Progressive Guest Line. All right. Does that number change in the Bills game with the injuries now? Does it go back to pick 'em? Because I noticed that one book opened up Denver. I think it was DK opened up Denver 1.5 yesterday.
I'm sure the Broncos are aware of the point spread. They won 13 of 14. And home dogs in the divisional round. I mean, this is incredible. Peyton's got that on the bulletin board. Win some, lose some. Next, Paul has details on a 50, 40, and a 25-1 that cashed.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
Time now to head out to the Progressive Guest Line. Warren Sharp joins the program as he does every Monday at this time. He's on X. Great follow at Sharp Football. Website is sharp.football. A lot to get into here in this segment. Let's begin with this. A little bit of point spread movement here on this Buffalo game in the divisional round at Denver. Now, this has been kind of all over the map, but it's around the money line, so But if you want to get involved with teasers, you might want to do that immediately. They were 1.5. Now they're going to a pick 'em. Total is 46.5. Your thoughts early here, Warren, on that game?
Look, I mean, the Buffalo Bills certainly have the better quarterback, and the Buffalo Bills absolutely annihilated the Denver Broncos a year ago in the wild card round in Buffalo, 31-7. This very spot, Bo Nix couldn't do much offensively. The Denver Broncos couldn't run the football. In fact, Bo Nix was their leading rusher in that game a year ago, which actually wouldn't be all that surprising, maybe, to see Bo Nix having to scramble a lot in this game as well. The Buffalo Bills were able to run the football. The Buffalo Bills were able to pass the football. Josh Allen didn't have to do a whole lot in that game. The ironic thing is, if you dig into the box score of that game a little bit more, and I haven't got back and rewatched the whole thing yet, just highlights, but I'm going back to rewatch the full game. the Buffalo Bills were 1 out of 5 in the red zone in that game. So that game could have been even a larger margin pro Buffalo. They won 31-7, as I mentioned previously. And Denver scored early in that game. They went up 7-0. It was like, oh my gosh, what's happening to the Buffalo Bills at home, going to lose this game? And then Buffalo scores 31 unanswered, and it was an absolute blowout. You've got to figure that Sean McDermott has to come up with some other answers. They did not do a great job stopping the run. Jacksonville Jaguars in some ways beat themselves as much as the Buffalo Bills beat them. Josh Allen put on that Superman cape like we expected he would have to do. And I was obviously rooting for a few more points in the first half in that game from the Jacksonville Jaguars, in large part because my biggest bet of the week was, as I told you guys on Sunday morning, the Josh Allen pass attempts over. Now he still got to 35, which I took ladders on his pass attempts, but he had a little bit of an easier, or didn't need to really throw quite as often as he was doing. I think they're going to have some more success running the football in this game against the Denver Broncos. So very fascinating game. I don't love the fact that it's such a short turnaround for the Buffalo Bills, who got, as Paulie was mentioning earlier, bad injury news heading into this game or coming out of that game. There continues to be bad news being spilled throughout the media today from the injury front. And in addition, Josh Allen was dinged up and nicked up. And I saw an interview with his offensive lineman saying, you will never know the full extent to which Josh Allen is totally destroyed at this point right now. He just sucks it all up, doesn't talk about it, keeps playing, but he is in real bad shape. And I mean, he took massive hits in that game against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Credit to him, finished it off and won, and got the ability now to go on to Denver.
What do you think tonight with some props and what you're looking at? And you've been all over this Aaron Rodgers thing for weeks.
Yeah, I think the Aaron Rodgers thing is he's going to have to drop back to throw the ball quickly with all this pressure and the great defense that the Houston Texans brings. And so I think that we're going to see overpass completions from Aaron Rodgers, which you can find at 20.5, but also the longest completion to be under. This Houston Texans defense does get burned from time to time with some bigger explosive plays. I'm just betting against that happening here with how quickly Aaron Rodgers gets rid of the football. And if the Pittsburgh Steelers are into analytics at all, they will figure out very quickly in their research that this Houston Texans pass defense, which is one of the very best in the NFL, you can make them close to league average if you throw the ball quickly. Their efficiency drops massively if you're getting rid of the football in 2.5 seconds or less. That's exactly what Aaron Rodgers needs to do here early and often to try to stay upright in this game. And that's going to result in more completions, in my opinion, for Aaron Rodgers and the Pittsburgh Steelers offense. Now, whether those completions actually have enough success, that's to be determined, and how well their defense is able to get the Houston Texans off the field so that the Pittsburgh Steelers can operate, that's to be determined, because the Houston Texans offense can just wring the life out of a game with their run-focused attack, especially if they're playing with a little bit of a lead in the second half. So it's going to come down to the wire. I don't see a ton of value in laddering this one, but I did like that one. Another one that I do like here is Kenneth Gainwell unders on his rushing. Now, I took under 7.5 rushing attempts. That was primarily because we bet under 30.5 rushing yards, and that line then shifted lower. So right now you're not going to get 7.5 rushing attempts nor 30.5 rushing yards. But I do think directionally this is the way to look for the fading of Kenneth Gainwell here. And one key reason is that when Gainwell has gone up against top flight run defenses, which he has faced, I believe 9 elite run defenses ranking 15th or better. I say elite, but they're just ranking 15th or better. This year, when Jaylen Warren is active, he's faced 9 of them. He has never had a game where he has had 8 rushing attempts in any of those games. He's 9-0 to the under. Obviously, the Houston Texans do have a top 15 run defense. They're one of the best in the NFL. His rushing average per attempts are only 5.1. So I like the under in that one. The other one that I like an under in is Christian Kirk. Now, this one is a little bit scarier because the Pittsburgh Steelers do struggle a bit against slot receivers. That being said, in 6 games since week 12, Christian Kirk has one game with more than 2 receptions. His line is 2.5 for receptions, juice about -150 to the under. I also liked his under on his longest reception because in 6 games since week 12, he's had only one game with a longest reception of more than 6 yards. If you look even further back in time, from week 10 onwards, he's played 9 games. He has 14 total receptions in those 9 games. He has only 2 receptions longer than 9 yards in those games. And both were underneath routes, which he got a little bit of yards after the catch on. He doesn't have a single catch longer than 7 air yards. So he's used closer to the line of scrimmage. And then it's whether or not he can break something after that. And that's assuming he even gets the targets and the receptions that he needs to get here to go over this number. I absolutely believe that if they are having success in the second half and the Texans are leading, DeMeco Ryans is not going to be calling a drop back passing game from CJ Stroud. They're going to be looking to lean into the run game a little bit more frequently, perhaps playing with more 2 tight end sets out on the field. And as a result, I'm just not sure if we're going to have the need for Christian Kirk to be targeted enough to go over either of these numbers. All of that said as well, I do think that the Houston Texans and CJ Stroud struggle historically on the road outdoors. And I'm looking back at their last 10 games. They have played only 2 games that were outdoors in those games. They played once in Kansas City and they played once in Tennessee. So it's definitely not a team that goes outdoors and plays on grass outside very frequently. CJ Stroud historically hasn't played elite football in those conditions. And now you're going into one of the most hostile environments, obviously, where Pittsburgh hasn't lost a Monday Night Football game in decades, literally. So it's going to be a challenge for the Texans to have enough success so that they can lean into some of these things in the second half and not have to throw the football. But that's what the market is sort of indicating, that they're going to have enough success in the first half to get there. And it's not going to hurt them at all that the Pittsburgh Steelers are so terrible scoring points in the first half of games. What was it, like 69, 68 straight games without more than 7 points scored in the first quarter? I mean, this team is consistently trailing early in games.
2 minutes left. Can you expand on your tweet yesterday, how Sirianni could be gone? In your opinion, how he was stubborn and would not make a change because of his buddy Patullo at OC, and it never improved and got worse as the games went on?
Yeah, I mean, look, I know the ownership and the front office group there a little bit, and I'm not suggesting that I have inside information that Sirianni is going to be gone, but I do know how much the process matters to those guys, and results matter too, but process matters a lot. And you've got a head coach in Nick Sirianni who, what has he actually done there? You know, I know the team has won games, but could you not say that they've won games because of some of their coordinators that they've had there, especially on the offensive side of the football, actually calling the plays rather than Nick Sirianni being the head coach? The years that those coordinators aren't there, Kellen Moore's there one year, he's not there the year before or the year after. The team stinks the year before, the year after. All of a sudden, Kellen Moore's there, they make it to the Super Bowl. You look at the year that they won the Super Bowl, several years ago, that was obviously without an offensive coordinator that was without Nick Sirianni calling plays there also. Defensively, if there was a way that they could keep Vic Fangio and get rid of Nick Sirianni, I fully believe that they would do that. They may not be able to, and so they may be stuck with Sirianni and go after a new offensive coordinator, which he would do in order to maintain his job. But I just can't imagine that the GM, the ownership, are happy with the results there, and more so the process of deciding to go with this offensive coordinator call plays and to not pivot midseason is just completely irreconcilable, in my opinion, for that head coach to keep his job.
Agreed. Warren, great stuff as always. Enjoy the game tonight. Best of luck.
Good luck, guys.
There you go. Warren Sharp on the Progressive Guest line. Some super obvious teasers to bet on this weekend. Honestly, how good or great is this team, and which leg loses coming up next?
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
Great moments in history have begun with a question.
To be or not to be, that is the question.
What came first, the chicken or the egg?
Was it over when the Germans bombed Pearl Harbor?
And what kind of hair product does Mitch Moss use? But Follow the Money wants to know.
Do you concur? Concur with what, sir? Do you concur?
Probably most games / sports can come down to plays of inches, right? It's a game of inches. Jacksonville beats Buffalo if 2 plays go the other way by a couple of inches. The field goal that doesn't hook, or what we thought was a first down scramble by Trevor Lawrence.
I can't believe he missed that.
I know. They may have been the best team in football. Do you concur?
No, because of Trevor Lawrence.
Ooh, okay. Other than that,
Yeah, good job by people pointing it out. Where it was the old Trevor Lawrence will show up, and he did. And he didn't have it, and that's also on Cohen to not pound the ball against his bad Buffalo run defense. Terrible. And that's a game you got to win.
do they not have like the conversation at some point like, hey guys, Liam, come here for a second. You do understand that they have no answer right now for our guys running the football, right?
Tom, the drive was so easy.
Of course.
It was stealing.
And that's the recipe for defeating this team. They're actually pretty damn good.
Right. Everyone knows this. They're 28th against the run.
Huh?
I mean, come on.
You kill this team on the ground. But no, not today? Okay, not today. All right,
Not
no
today.
problem.
Not
As a
today.
result, this will ultimately be Buffalo's year. You concur.
No.
Oh, man, the signs are all there.
Yeah, Denver beats. You can't overcome all these injuries. But it'd be great if Josh Allen can do this, though.
You're going to keep doubting him, huh?
With that, yeah, because he's had some. I know the level he has to play at for them to win, and I don't think he can do it 2 more games, especially against this Denver defense. And I think Sean Payton's licking his chops at that Buffalo run defense.
He can get a little too cocky as well.
Yeah, but what else do they do? They chew clock, and they're going to keep Allen off the field.
I will tell you
some long Denver drives.
the prop that you need to look at. It's already available. It's at 20.5. Bo Nix rushing yards, 11.5 longest rush.
Oh, good call.
Yeah,
Like
I like
that.
those.
Okay, not team. I think I go Packers, Eagles, 1-2, whatever. Team that had the worst performance. Coach or player? Greg Roman, Chargers offensive coordinator, was the worst performance of the weekend. Real or Fugazi?
Man, it's close because, again, as we've talked about throughout the show, I don't even know what I was watching last night. They never adjusted to a team that ranks at and near the very bottom when it comes to pressure rate, getting to the quarterback. And the poor Justin Herbert showing on display last night because he's getting manhandled and mauled every time he drops back to pass.
Yeah.
I would also say, like, the play calling near the goal line a couple times when they were down there. Disaster.
The substitution thing, that's like high school stuff.
But I have to say Fugazi, Paulie,
Oh,
because of Patullo.
Patullo and Sirianni.
Immediately, Dan Orlovsky, ESPN.
That's bad.
They're running the same plays over and over again. What is happening? Unacceptable. And it was a problem the entire year, and they never got it better. There's way too much talent.
Yep. It was night and day. Boy, they miss Kellen Moore.
Oh, big
But
time.
they have so much talent that shouldn't have happened.
The Patriots are Fugazi. Do you concur?
Why do you say it like that?
Because, again, like the
Beat one team with a winning record?
the Chargers need Chargers have really good defense.
Yeah, they were great.
But again, we saw this guy has been running for his life the entire year because of what happened on the offensive line.
Yeah, Drake May had some bad moments.
Yeah, they were far from great last night. Defense was solid, but the offense never impressed me that much. And again, their schedule is one of the easiest we've ever seen for a team to make it this far.
It was,
that many games.
Yeah,
So I don't know if they're good.
that's fair. All this talk, though, how about Houston's path? It's right there for Houston to go to the AFC title game.
Yeah, and watch them
You're
lose.
not afraid of New England next week. You can win that game. And then you would get Denver in the AFC title game potentially?
I don't think the Bills are afraid of Denver.
No. Well, Houston could host the game. They already beat the Bills.
Yeah.
They do
Actually,
that.
that's the team that Buffalo doesn't want to play.
No.
They don't want to play Houston.
They'll wreck Allen again.
The Rams, think about this. In order, blew a 16-point lead late at Seattle, lost to 6-9 Atlanta, blown out in the first half. Trailed at home third quarter before beating 3-13 Arizona. Lucky to escape 8-9 Carolina on Saturday. The Los Angeles Rams are not winning a damn thing. Do you concur?
Oh. I changed my mind on this. I don't. No.
You don't concur?
as bad as the defense has been, and they always say you got to be sound in all three phases, and their special team sucks too. They have Stafford, and they can outscore you. And they can just say, I'm going to Puka. I don't care what you're going to do.
Well, they
about
can
it.
throw it to him 20 times.
Now, Puka did have the big drop, too, against
Can you
Carolina.
believe that? He catches that 90.
I know.
This is the guy who comes up with the craziest catch you ever seen in your life. And
They
yet
can,
he can't come up with that one.
they can outscore the Bears, and Darnold can implode. Remember, they went to Seattle and scored 37 on them.
Yeah, and they had 600 yards of offense.
They can do
almost.
this. And the special teams coughed it up, and they spit up a 16-point lead. They would have been the one. They can still do this, though. But McVay has got to figure out the short yardage stuff. It's not hard, Sean.
I know.
God, they're so bad 3rd and 1.
I think their defense has been so bad lately. That they're in for a long day against Caleb Williams in this.
34 to Detroit, 38 to Seattle, 37 to Atlanta, 20 to Arizona, 31 to Carolina. Carolina 4 for 4 in the red zone.
Yeah.
Nick Whalen's right. Bryce Young played 3 good games. 2 of them were against the Rams.
There you go. So on that note, the guy that they're going to get this week, Caleb Williams, he has the highest ceiling of any quarterback in the league. Do you concur? Come on,
what are we talking? Well, now he's going to be a ton of cash on him to win the MVP next
Well,
year.
he's going to be unbettable
That's
to win the
already tough,
MVP.
yes.
He'll open up below 20 to 1 is my guess next season. I'm talking the whole package, right? Arm strength, running ability. Look, he's in his second year.
Drake May's more accurate. Drake May throws, although he missed the tight end on the wide open. Drake May throws a beautiful deep ball. There's still accuracy issues with Williams.
But here's what I'll point out. It's going to be tough to beat like Josh Allen's ceiling overall. Josh Allen also coming out of Wyoming, early days in Buffalo.
Mm-hmm.
Even the die-hardest Buffalo Bills fans will admit this.
Yeah.
He was not accurate.
Yeah.
And that got so much better. If this guy turns out to be an accurate quarterback down the road,
At times, I get the feeling he's messing around, though, and wants to dial up the degree of difficulty when he doesn't have to.
well, that it also ties
And
into
ad-libby.
him still not wanting to play fully in structure.
Yes. The weapons are there. You got to do that.
Yeah. The 49ers know they can't win the Super Bowl. Do you concur?
I do. Yes. There was an interesting quote after the game from Brock Purdy about it's great to get this win with this group of guys and what we've been through. And it's kind of like saying we weren't supposed to win, but somehow we did, and now we know the season's going to end. It was an interesting quote after the game.
Well, also,
I just feel they know they can't. You can't lose Bosa, Warner, Kittle, all these guys. And
never
just,
have Ayuk play. Pearsall's
Right.
never there.
No Pearsall either, right? Williams was out when he didn't. Ayuk, he was back. I know. I don't think you can overcome this. And they just embarrassed you on your home field 2 weeks ago.
Shanahan also said after the game, he was asked about when he would expect to play the Seahawks. And I believe it was, I got to go back and look to get the exact quote, but it was something like, I think the NFL, if they could help us out a little bit, he would put us on Sunday.
Yeah.
Now they got to go play on Saturday.
That's bad.
That's really bad.
That's tough.
It's never going to work out with John Harbaugh and Justin Herbert. Do you concur?
That's outrageous. No, I do not. That is outrageous. I get rid of Greg Roman. I can bring in Kingsbury or McDaniel. Problem fixed.
Yeah, Roman's
Watch
gotta
out.
go.
Well, they're going to fix the offensive line. They just had too many injuries.
Right.
I mean, you can't overcome all those injuries to the O-line. But with some creativity and imagination, get rid of Greg Roman and bring in McDaniel or Kingsbury or someone like that. Then we're talking.
Yeah. No, I love Herbert. I will say this about Harbaugh. Can you pick a streak? Like last night, going for it right away after the May interception. They didn't kick the field goal. Never took the points. Quote, took the points. Went for it, didn't get it, and then later on they kicked it at the 2-yard line.
He's all over the place with that.
That's what I'm saying.
There were numerous times this year, 4th and 1, he would kick 50-yard field goals and pass 4th and 1. I don't know.
That's like hedging. Pick a street. Either you hedge all the time to lock in a profit, or you never hedge. You always let it ride. You can't pick your moments on when you're going to hedge and when you're not going to.
Well, the defense did ball out. They did a great job. Other than the dump off to Stevenson.
Yeah.
That went for 50 yards. The defense did a great job.
Oh, the defense was...
They deserved a better fate. But, I mean, the guy was running for his life every play.
Felt bad
And
for
then
the
the drops. Come on with the drops.
And also, again, and I tweeted this out, NFL, please, can you give us some consistency here?
Oh, that's so bad.
How do you not call the roughing the passer?
Patriots'
on Herbert?
first half was a gift. Chargers are going to have the ball at midfield.
Yeah.
And then they had to punt, and it gave New England enough time. And suddenly it's 6-3 Pats at the half. It was an enormous call.
Great. And by the way, multiple refs on the field looking at it happened. They said, no, we're not going to call it this time. Okay, good stuff, guys.
Then he has a face mask that didn't get called.
That's true. Yep. In-pocket plays coming up here on Follow the Money. It's VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.